How long had you been sitting on that play design for DJ on the first touchdown?
Actually, I think that one actually happened that week. So each week, each coach has, area of emphasis, and then everyone's trying to find cool ideas, college football, pro football, and so we're constantly kind of throwing things at each other. And I'm pretty sure that one was kind of a collaborative thing that just happened, kind of thinking one thing and then turning into another. But that was just this past week.
Did you take inspiration from, you mentioned like college, other games, like where did you get the inspiration for that play design?
I don't remember exactly. It was an NFL game. I don't remember exactly which one, though, to be totally honest with you, because there's quite a few of them. But it was an NFL game for sure. I just don't remember exactly which one.
What is it like when a play works out like that for you, like the adrenaline or just what the gratification that you
No, yeah, I mean it's great to see. Like it's fun when you practice it. That part of it. You practice it, and the guys kind of get to see what the opportunity is. I mean, I promise you, we practice a lot of those types of things each week, and so those are the plays that kind of get everybody in the room excited. And then when you're able to go out and execute those guys, it's just fun to see the guys respond when those types of things happen. Same with DJ there at the end of the third quarter. That those types of plays, you practice them so much, and when they come and they happen, those guys, it's really fun to see those guys celebrate in the moment.
Free play touchdown. Would you say that that's the best executed play in terms of across the board for everybody that you've seen, like here this season, maybe?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would just say the guys were prepared for that moment, right? It's been something that I've been a part of for a long time in my career, and we practice it and we do it, and so that part of it all was really good execution. I thought the guys, kind of how the whole situation happened, which you're really proud of the guys the way they handled it, having to think you had this loss, then you're off the field, then you're back on the field, and you're handling the situation, and just really good communication across the board, the coaches and players, making sure we had the right people on the field and handling that thing really well. And then the guys did, like you said, the guys did their job.
What was most impressive to you about the operation of the entirety of that, and specifically given your background where you come from, a place where that was?
Yeah, there's a lot to it, right? It's not as simple as someone just jumping offside. I mean, you want to make sure you get the 5 yards, so you have somebody that is potentially moving with that person to make sure you get that. Lucas snapping the ball within that time frame of the play and protecting the front so that you can get the throw off, and then just the immediate reaction by the people who were running down the field. We could have thrown the ball really to a number of people. Cole did a great job on his special route, and then the guys on the perimeter, all 3 guys did a really nice job of it was an immediate response, and I think that's what's really critical about that.
How much skill goes into Justin executing the hard count like that? Obviously Aaron was better than him at that. Is there things, does he watch film of Aaron doing it? Like, how do guys get proficient at that?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of a practice and trying to get your own flavor, and honestly creating as many tendencies for yourself as you can. I think that's, if I remember back with Aaron, as much as anything, he would try to create tendencies to then take advantage of, and I think that's part of it too. So watching, seeing other guys have little creative ideas, and then at the same time trying to learn yourself and how to play off of the things that you do.
You were asked earlier what it's like when you put something in and it works. The flip side of that, the 4th and 1, you have the fake push and then the pitch. Mm-hmm. What's it like when you put a wrinkle in and it doesn't?
Yeah, no, you talk about a pre-snap, like, oh no. The way that they lined up differently because we've done sneaks and we've done things against them 3 times and before that. And when we saw, I can't remember, I think it was a DB number 6 that was sitting on the left-hand side that he had typically been in line, not sitting back. And so it was one of those pre-snap things where you got to hopefully do a better job of making sure you can get out of that situation if you have an element like that that's sitting there that you're not accounting for.
Could Justin have changed that at the line?
He wouldn't have known so in that particular instance. No, that's on me.
So that's not a situation where if he saw something, he could have sneaked it in that
moment. He was not prepared for that to be that way. No, but hopefully in the future, as we learn from things and make mistakes like that, we can grow from it.
When you said that's on you, how is it on you if you didn't expect that?
Well, no, yeah, that's what I do with everything, right? Anytime that we do a great job of those ideas all across the board on on the side of the ball, which is it's a lot of fun, and then it's kind of my job to break it all down and make sure it's all sound, you know, and you're not going to get 100%. That's never going to happen, right? But you want to make sure you're protected as much as possible. And in that particular instance, and it's a critical play, so you want to be even extra prepared for that.
Anybody have banged a timeout real quick?
I mean, I guess technically you could, but you know, we you know the fallback is you have a really good player you're getting the ball to, and you hope that he can go make the play too sometimes, and that's often you want to rely on those two.
Luke, this offensive line combination, I think most people would say is the best you've had since you've been here, but it's also had the most continuity now. I think this will be the fourth straight start. My question is, are you seeing benefits of the continuity with this group already, or does that just take longer? What have you seen with regard to that?
I think both. I think both. I think you're definitely seeing that chemistry, the communication, the different styles of defenses that we play. Some put extreme circumstances out there that the communication has to be on point, and when you play next to each other, you know sometimes you don't have to speak those words. You just know what each other are going to do, and so I think that's the long-term benefit of those guys playing next to each other. That'll happen even more. But the short-term part of it is absolutely we're seeing the benefit of it. You know, you have just that free play. Just take that play alone, and the operation of everybody knowing how to respond at the right time with a protection that happens on the fly, and then routes that happen on the fly. So all that stuff is a benefit to that playing with each other.
DJ had 3 carries. DJ had 3 carries after only carrying it once the whole previous all the other games. What went into him receiving those 3 carries this week when he really hasn't run the ball very much this year?
I mean, nothing necessarily in particular. It's just we try to find different ways each week to get whoever we feel like needs to touch the ball. We try to find different ways, and for that particular week, that just happened to be the kind of the direction of it.
He looks pretty. He looks pretty comfortable. Sorry, doing that.
Is that like a little hint? Hey, make sure you keep do more of that stuff, or what is that?
Well, I'm just curious. Do you think that could be like an untapped part of his game, considering he really hasn't done that much?
No, I think DJ's very talented player that can do a lot of different things. So I think there's no reason to hold back really in a lot of different ways for them.
With this challenge that you guys have this week, what do you have to have ready offensively for Garrett specifically to make sure that he doesn't just
Yeah, no, I mean it's not just him. I mean they give us a report each week, and I think they were like number 1 in like every defensive statistic in the league. So I was like, this is gonna be fun, right? And then you go out there and you have 95 and 99 staring down at you at the same time. But it's fun. I think this is why you do what you do. You want to play against the best, and I think this is yes. You have those two you have to account for at all times. There's no question about it that when you're going up against some guys like that your game plan has to be centered around those two guys.
when you watch them, what do they do to make life for an opposing quarterback uncomfortable?
Yeah, I mean, you start with Garrett. Really, there's nothing he can't do. He's got every facet of a defensive lineman that you would want. The guy can play nose guard 3 technique, and he can stand up and be an edge rushing outside linebacker. He's got every trait that you really want. He's a pretty incredible player. Za'Darius, I was with him right for those years, and so I got to see that firsthand of what he's capable of, and we saw it last year again with him in Minnesota. So 2 elite level guys that you have to prepare for that are just like you said, they're elite guys. So we got to make sure that they're on our minds at all times.
Is there any rhyme or reason to why their defense has played so much better at home? Obviously, the noise factor and all of that, but
Yeah.
it's pretty considerable what the yards per carry are there versus their away games.
Yeah, I think anytime that you're in an environment like that, right, rich in tradition, history, loud stadium, right, you're in a that gives the pass rush the advantage always, right, when you're at home, and so I think that's the starting point for the reason why. But they're just they're well built. They're Coach Schwartz does a really nice job. So they're just they're well designed, well built with the personnel that they have.
Luke, you obviously were not here.
The Browns defense is, I think they're first in yards, but they've given up a lot of points in recent games. Where is the vulnerability that teams have been able to attack? Even though they're playing against a really good defense, they've been able to score points that obviously I'm sure you want to do. Where's that vulnerability? What do you have to do?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, making the plays that when those plays happen, they don't happen very often against this type of team. But when you have those big play opportunities, you got to execute them. I think last week, just specifically, Jacksonville had maybe 5 or 6 opportunities. They took advantage of 3 of them, and then they left the other 2 out there. So you can't do that, or else you won't win. So I think that's a big part of it. You're going to get a couple opportunities in a few different ways that will hopefully show rather than talk about. But at the same time, you got to execute those opportunities because they don't make them easy. It's not like you have somebody screaming wide open. I think it's guys making a play with a one-on-one opportunity that we got to make sure we hit.
The way you're going now, especially after last week, big plays and stuff like that, how good do you feel about being in position now, this offense, after the start,
Yeah.
to be in a position to be able to do what other teams have done?
Yeah, no, I feel great. I love our team. I love our guys. I think our guys give us a chance to go do that. So I'm excited to see if we're able to go out and execute like you're talking about.
You obviously weren't here the first start that Justin Fields had in Cleveland. He gets sacked 9 times. Do you derive anything from that, and have there been discussions at all with Justin Fields about that?
No, I would say there hasn't been because I wasn't reflecting on that, nor did I know that. But now that you say that, I recall that. But no, I mean, Justin's a way different player now than he was back then, way different process and where we're at and everything like that. And so, no, I don't think so. I think this defense poses a lot of challenges for us, and we're focused on, trying to, find a way to attack these guys the way they are now.
Look, one of the ways that Justin is different is his pocket presence has improved, and Luce noted that yesterday. From your eyes, how would you describe what's different about him with his pocket presence now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing behind all that I've mentioned in here before is just the awareness of what's going on around you, right? I think that when you know what you're doing, when you know what the people around you are doing, I think that gives you comfort to go play a little more free. And then the more he plays, the more that's going to continue to grow. And I think that's more of a natural progression for a young guy. Pocket presence is not it's one of the hardest things that position has to do, right? You got these crazy beasts all over, like running around all over the place. And how do you avoid? When is it time to escape? When is it time to slide and throw? And by no means do we, Justin and I will both stand here and say we're not where we want to be with that, but the improvement continues to grow each and every week for sure.
On the 4th and 13, Justin gave Tevin a lot of credit for selling the fake protection adjustment. Mm-hmm. When he threw his arms up, how does that play out where he's the one responsible for it in that moment? Does it change up any sort, like every time? So it's actually believable.
Yeah, no, I think that's a week by week process. Each week we have a plan with different offensive linemen having different responsibilities, and so just this past particular week, Tevin had a little bit more responsibility with communication. So it was an easier, okay, Tevin. And honestly, those guys they handled it that way too. That's why, like you said, it became real because of that's the preparation. That's the way they did it the whole game. And then now here you are at the end of the third quarter, and now you have that opportunity to take advantage of it. And Tevin, like you said, did a great job of that.
Thank
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
The 4th down stop, Cad, through your eyes, can you just tell us what you saw in terms of the way the entire operation worked, but then obviously the play he made?
Yeah, it was a great play by Jack. He avoided 2 blockers. The first one was Laporta, and then it was Jonah Jackson, the guard pulling. Just a really good play, and the tackle was a heck of a play. Obviously, a huge play in the game. And they were going kind of tempo on us, too, so we were able to get lined up and execute the defense. A really good call by Coach Fluce, and well executed.
Tremaine, your two, sorry. Edwards and Edmonds have been exceptionally well the last couple weeks, especially with the takeaways. How have they kind of fed off of each other in terms of working together, would you say?
They're really close. Really, the whole group is close. And then Tremaine and TJ, coming from different places last year, the bond really started when they got here. It is really their love for football. They love competing. They love practicing. They love getting ready for the game. So, and they are competitive with each other, which really works for the whole room. So right now we're in a takeaway competition amongst the linebackers. So they're competing against each other, which is great. And that's the formula to win games. What we talk about is hustle, intensity, takeaways, smart situational football. And the takeaways, that's the best stat in ball. That correlates the most to winning. And it's something that we practice, and it's something we take a lot of pride in.
What stands out when you watch Joe Flacco over these last couple of games?
Just impressive, 38 years old, obviously drafted 2008. He's been around for a long time. And the thing that stands out is his ability to make every throw. He's got a strong arm, really comfortable in the pocket, It's impressive to see a guy that just got there have such good command of the offense. And then and really, like I said, the one thing that stands out is just his arm strength and his ability to make every throw.
The way that Jaquan Brisker plays at times, it almost seems like he's another linebacker out there. What does that do for your defense?
Yeah, what did you have, 17 tackles? If you ask some people, it was 18. It was a lot. Just the physicality and the tempo that he sets for the rest of the guys. I mean, he's a safety, but I mean, he plays, like you said, the way he hits and how physical he is, it's like a linebacker. And we've had safeties in the league that have played like that. But he's also a good cover player. So I think he's got the unique combination of he can play in the box, he can play the run, he's physical, he can tackle bigger backs, and he can also cover. And just Jaquan's mentality, I think, is awesome. Again, I talked about TJ and Tremaine about how they prepare, and Jaquan's the same way. Football's important to him, and how he prepares, I think, positively affects him, how he plays on Sunday.
Davis, as someone who's been in the front row watching this defense kind of grow the way it has this year, how do you describe kind of this productivity swell that has happened here in the last 5 or 6 weeks?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I've thought about that a lot because when you have those moments during the season, you have some hard moments where maybe you're not playing as well as you want to play, but you trust your defense, you trust your systems in place, and you got to weather the storm a little bit. And, we talk about the foundation of our defense and what we do, and you're going to have moments where it's not going to look great sometimes, and you got to overcome those, and you got to trust your systems in place and keep, you don't have to change the whole defense, right? You just got to execute it better. We did a really cool thing in training camp this year where, we had different coaches come up and talk, coaches who have been in Super Bowls or won Super Bowls. Coach Curtis talked to the team. Coach Hightower talked when he was in San Francisco, Curtis when he was in New York on those Super Bowl teams. And they talked about the season, they won the Super Bowl. And and the common thing when those guys talked was the adversity they had to overcome. They've had moments in the season where it wasn't good. And they came out on the other side of it because they had really good leadership. They had a good foundation and they trusted the process.
The collective fulfillment of being where you're at now, where there is an obvious momentum behind everything you're doing. What is that like to be a part of when you're on a surge like this?
It's a lot of fun. It is. And when you're playing well, it creates a lot of energy and juice. And, right now we're playing well and you got to maintain that. And you don't have to do anything extra or special. You just got to do your job. I know it sounds cliche, but that's the truth. And so I think we're all excited about where we're going. We just have to have the, singular focus of playing good ball on Sunday.
Dave, what do you like when you have the linebackers mugged up at the line of scrimmage, whether one of you guys is blitzing or drop back into coverage? What do you just like when you present that option to an offense?
Yeah, so when you present that to the offense, obviously it creates a little bit of stress because they don't know if you're pressuring or playing coverage. So, it's important in those looks to whether you're pressuring or playing coverage to make everything look the same. And that's the beauty of that look, those Abbey looks when we're mugged up in there, is to kind of create pressure on the offense of, hey, are they blitzing, or they drop in, are they dropping, 7 guys, are they covering, or are they bringing the house, are they bringing everybody? So, it just forces communication with the offense, the offensive line, and it creates a little bit of indecision.
How much of that do you think factored into Jalen's interception on that first one with both TJ and Tremaine up there?
Yeah, that was interesting because that was a 4th down play. So on 3rd down we pressured, then a 4th down. So again, I think that does create some indecision a little bit. And Jalen made a great play. It was a really good return. Just got to hold on to the ball. But yeah, I do think that helps. Those looks help.
Dave, what's the rule of thumb on those 4th down interceptions? Seems like TJ might have been better off knocking it down, but Jalen had a chance for a return. How do you? What is there a rule of thumb on how to gauge whether you can?
Situational football. Tremaine at the end of the game, he got the interception, and he went down. Mm-hmm. So we have calls within it in those situations. We call it no mas. Just get the interception and get down. Jalen's interception. It's 4th down, and you could knock it down and say, hey. You get better field position for the offense if you knock it down. But, if he scores a touchdown, everybody's saying, hey, that's a great decision to score. So I think in moments like that, you let the instincts kind of play off. And I don't think anybody faulted him for the interception. I know Jalen probably enjoyed it.
Tremaine has shown his closing speed a number of times throughout the season. There's a couple plays the other day, and one in particular that stands out when he gives us kind of in the flat.
On their sideline.
Yeah, and just closed. I mean, what strikes you about just when he gets that full head of steam and he's got all that range?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to see a guy that big run that fast. And you know, Tremaine, you know, just remember him coming out in 2018. I mean, for as big as he is, he can roll. And when you see a big man running like that, it's pretty impressive. And, you know, talking about that play was on their sideline. I think it was like a reverse or a jet sweep or something. And it's one of those, we call it daylight or evaporate. Like it looks really good and all of a sudden it just evaporates. And then you just see Tremaine, big 4'9", just running it and hawk it down for, I think it's a 3-yard gain. You know, that's impressive to see. There's not many guys in the world that are that big that could run that fast.
Thank you.
How's everyone doing?
Great.
Doing outstanding. Go ahead. Doing great, Larry. Go ahead.
You ready for Christmas Eve football?
Am I ready for Christmas Eve football? I'm ready for this week. I'm ready for this week, first and foremost. But yeah, it's always cool to do that as well.
I felt like it started with something holiday-ish.
I love it. Happy holidays to you too. I see the direction you're going.
Are there any similarities between Brown Stadium and where you play? They're both on a lake. They both have some wind to them, but it doesn't have the reputation that Soldier Field has.
Yeah, definitely can get some wind in that stadium. Obviously, I worked there a year as well. But wind in that stadium, some similarities. Really, they're really it's tougher to kick in Soldier, in my personal opinion. But it's a stadium that has given people a lot of challenges. You know, that stadium and in particular their field goal block unit, they're number one in the league. An opponent field goal is 68%. So it's definitely a tough stadium to kick in. Something we're going to have to be prepared for. They do an excellent job rushing on field goal, and it's a tough stadium to kick in. So they've already blocked 2 kicks this year. Do a really nice job, good effort, good hustle, good technique. So we better be on top of our game this week for sure. Not only does the stadium element add something, but also the opponent we're going against. So great question, Pat.
Richard, Trent was able to pop a couple punt returns the other day. Curious when you went back and watched him on each of those occasions, what jumped out at you?
Yeah, when we looked at that, talking about Trent Taylor, we realized the second part of that game, the second half of that game, quickly turned into a field position battle. So Trent is awesome in those situations because he understands situational football. He works at his craft. He is very dependable, very reliable, and he's been really close. So, and the boys were really excited for him because we finally popped one, and that being a 31-yard return, it was very close to being more than that. But the guys were so excited for him. I can't describe the feeling of how they felt because they've been seeing tape and us being very close. But obviously we didn't score on that drive off of that return. But what it did do, it allowed us a punt and pin opportunity where Josh Blackwell made a hell of a tackle down there. And then our defense went 3 and out. And then they punted it back to us. And Trent was able to get another return, another good return past midfield. And then you guys know what the rest is history from there. That's the drive where DJ scored the touchdown. Justin threw the good ball. So really happy for Trent, really happy for the punt return unit. Just looking for more of those plays as we go forward.
Richard, when you set up that punt returning unit, what goes into the decision to put 2 guys on the gunners as opposed to 1?
That's a really good question, Nick. It has to do with a lot has to do with where the ball's being punted. It also has to do with the gunners that are playing, so it could be player dependent. And then the wind is a factor on that too. So sometimes the wind direction. So we got a really good challenge this week because they have really 2 good gunners. and number 20 Strong, Pierre Strong, and Mike Ford, 28, really good players that have been very productive in the league. I mean, I think between those two, they're combined of 9 tackles, so they got the most tackles on their punt team. So it's really a good challenge for us this week that we really need to be prepared for.
Richard, at the end of the first half on Sunday, they scored and then they kick off. Situationally, what's the thought process there on not bringing that specific kick out?
Yeah, so it's 26 seconds on the clock, and we all discussed it and what would be the best option in that point. And with 26 seconds on the clock, we felt like from our offense and our play design and what we had, it was in the best interest not to bring that one out. And that could change week to week. You're weighing the risk of returning the ball and then losing seconds off of the clock and then not being able to get to the plays that we want to get to if you don't get the return that you want. And we've done it in the past where we've brought it out and it's worked for us. So it's a week-to-week deal. The other thing I'll say about that is that was the best kickoff coverage unit in the league that we played from a drive start average standpoint. People rarely get the ball past the 20-yard line on them. And that was a 4-3 kick. It was 4-3 hang, and it was 5 yards deep. So not only was it a tough kick to even try to make something positive happen against a really good unit, it also would have taken away from what we wanted to do offensively had we not got the ball to where we wanted to get it to. But that's a phenomenal question. And just really that our kickoff return unit, they were really excited about that first play of the game because obviously we did bring we did return that ball. Obviously, they tried to kick it short. That was a huge emphasis all week for us because who this unit was and what they tried to do and how they tried to pin you. And people don't get it past the 20. And Vela started with a huge explosive return. You can see his speed on that one. It almost popped. That one out to the 31-yard line. If you go back and look at that play and the energy from our sideline and from our team, because in our meeting room, we knew they were going to try to do that, and we knew they were going to try to tackle us inside the 20. And you ought to go back and look at Elijah Hicks and see how fired up he was on that play and just the energy and passion they play with to get our offense going. And then obviously our offense went down and scored, which we like. We like taking the ball, obviously. You guys see that.
Is Jake's the most fiery guy on your special teams?
He is in the top 3 for sure. Homer has a lot of fire. Dylan Cole is a ball of energy. And Patrick Scales is got a lot of juice too. He's an energy guy. But in terms of fire, passion, I would say Dylan has to be up there. Elijah is. Go back and look at that deal when he got drafted. Elijah got a couple screws loose in a good way, which is good. You need that on special teams. So yeah, he's got a ball of energy. We're lucky in that department, and personnel department's done a phenomenal job giving us guys that want to play special teams and want to work hard. So we feel fortunate.
Richard, yesterday at the league meeting, Troy Vincent called the kickoff a dead ceremonial play. Said they're going to look to tweak some rules to make it so returns are more prevalent. As a special teams coach, how would you like to see the league kind of tweak the rules to make it better?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something we got to look at in the offseason. Obviously, I think Troy's desired result and the league's desired result is league wanted the kick returns to go down, which has happened. I still feel like it's a phenomenal play. It's very exciting. Hopefully, Devin gets in the hall soon because he made that play what it is today because it's just a phenomenal football play. We want to keep the foot in the game. I mean, they call it football for a reason. It's because you kick the ball. So we want to look at it, and we want to look at it in the offseason and see how we can make the play even better. And I think everybody wants to keep the foot in the game. So that's the way I would address it. And as the weather changes, I mean, I think the returns that went down early, but as the weather changes, the returns are going to start to go up now. So we'll just see how it is. We'll revisit it after the season.
Do you have your own personal ideas about what you would do if you were, czar of football for a day to make the kickoff different, or would you keep it the way it is?
Yeah, I don't personally have any intention in being a czar of football, but I understand your question. I got my hands full. I'm just trying to get 11 guys on the field, but I would love to see the foot in the game, and I would love to see more big returns, and I would love to see guys make more plays on the defensive side of it, covering them, and on the return side. I just think it's an exciting play, and I think if it's done the right way, and I think we've made changes throughout the years to get it going the right way. But I just think it's so much a part of the game and fabric of the game that I'd love to see it remain.
Now we gotta take you off the czar candidate list.
There, you gotta take me off. Thank you all. Hope that helps.